Be
Cool.
even 3 or 4,
Yeah, maybe 2, 3.
something in that range.
But yeah, there are different species of tripod fish that we're coming across. Glad you like them, Mom. Kevin, we got more geo questions.
Awesome.
Our friend is writing in. They know that you collect the rocks to date the volcanoes exactly, but is there any way that you could guess when about the latest eruption happened in this area? Really recently, thousands, tens of thousands, millions of years ago? Is there ways that you can sort of determine that before
Yeah,
collection?
so this area has been, dredged previously. So samples have been collected and dated. And most of the dates are around Cretaceous aged, so probably about 70 million years old for the base of these seamounts. And it seems like most of them in this area, the Palmera area, are about 68 to 75 million years old, based on the estimates or the measurements that are available now. However, there are age groups occasionally that pop up in these line islands that are much younger, like 40 million years old. So one of my biggest interests on this expedition are these post-subduction, post-geos cones. I'm sorry, yeah, post-subsidence erosional cones. So all these little volcanic cones that we're diving on now erupted sometime well after the main edifice of the seamount was eroded and subsided under the seafloor. And just woke up. So basically, these main seamounts formed and they built up, very similar to Hawaii. They were above water, a lot of them, and over time they kind of sunk into the lithosphere as that kind of thermal buoyancy that was feeding it went away from the seamount. And so after they kind of subsided into the seafloor and they were eroded by waves and had reefs built up on it, these volcanic cones came. So I'm interested in how old these are. Did they happen, 5 million years afterwards, so they're only around 65 million years old? Or was this a second episode of volcanism? Was it reoccupied by some process 30, 40 million years later? So they've never been directly sampled, so that's why I'm very interested in them, and I'm so far very excited about the samples I'm getting. Hopefully that answers the question. Also, the sediments on top of most of these geos can constrain it to it has to be older than, late Eocene, Cretaceous, so we can get a relative age on it based on some of the cores that we covered from the top of these seamounts.
Cool. Thank
Start
you.
paying out, we'll come down.
Yeah, we are a couple
Almost done.
minutes away from the base of this cone. Space in between looks pretty flat, so if everyone's okay with it, come down and scoot along the bottom.
Yeah, we're on our way down there.
Yeah, that sounds fun.
Yeah, and for our viewers at home, it definitely does look like we're, in the blue water right now, but we're still exploring. We're heading towards the base of this cone. We were sort of taking a shortcut through the water there because it's not very easy for our vehicles to kind of go down slope. So they were taking a path that was a little safer for those vehicles. But we're going to be heading towards the base of these volcanic cones that Kevin's talking about. So we'll get to see them. And the biology that they've been seeing on previous watches on these lava flows are things like deep water corals and sponges. I'm not sure if they've seen what exactly they've seen because, again, we were sleeping while those watches were going on. But we'll see what we find on these cones.
So it gets pretty cold in the control van because we keep the temperature low so that all the large volume of equipment in here can stay cool and operate properly. And today I brought gloves in. I wasn't sure how well typing in gloves would work. It was working quite well, and my hands are very happy.
Yay! We keep our technological equipment nice and cold, and we also keep our human equipment very cold in the back
Yes.
there. Hey Jamie, you want to talk about shrimp for a second?
Yes, I do.
We've got some folks wondering about the bright red coloration of these shrimp. If there's any advantages to that in these dark areas of the seafloor.
That is a great question. So yes, even though there isn't much if any visible light, the only light at these depths typically just being bioluminescently derived, the red still has a function because red light penetrates the least far through the water column. And so being red is sort of another version of being transparent, basically, and makes it harder for predators to see the red creature, in this case the red shrimp. It allows them camouflage and greater protection from anything that might be using the minute amounts of light that are here to hunt.
Very cool. Thank you. And I think as we were just talking about that shrimp, I saw one of those swimming sea cucumbers kind of come by HerCam.
Hey, it's the bottom.
Hey. So we're approaching the seafloor again here. We were up a little bit in the water column as we traversed to this, the base of this cone. But here we are. We're seeing some rockiness, some more sediment. We'll see what other friends we find along the way. We're hoping to see some corals, sponges, shrimps, squat lobsters, all sorts of things. When I was watching from the lounge before we came up here, there was a coral that had a big basket star kind of perched on the end of it, and that was really cool.
Cool.
So I'm hoping
for a minute until it
we can
flattens
see
out.
something like that.
How would you geologically describe the type of rock we're seeing right now? Like, I know it's volcanic, but structure-wise, what would you say?
Structure-wise, it would be like a low-bait sheet flow. It looks like.
Oh,
That's
cool.
one way to say it. Basically, pahoihoi. Oh, is that it? Paho.
Pahoihoi and A'a.
Okay, it's
But
pahoihoi.
submarine lavas are
Yeah, they don't describe
different.
it like that.
Yeah, so low bait.
Low-bait sheet flow.
Bridge now.
Difference between a low bait and a pillow is that the low baits have more coalescence, so they're a little bit
Request we
faster
change
moving
bearing
lava
to
on the
110.
seafloor than pillows.
Thank you.
I did my master's on lava morphology,
Alright,
so
we'll be just
happy to keep
shifting over
going.
If you got any morphology questions, you know where to direct them.
And correct me if I'm wrong here, but the control room, we keep it dark like this to allow our eyes to be better focused on the screens that we're looking at, correct?
That's correct.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
Cool.
It's kind of the same way when you go to the movie theater, you know. You want it to be dark. You don't want any glare or anything like that.
Seeing some more rippled sediment.
It doesn't seem to have as much definition as the slope we went up the other day was like a clear line.
Yeah. We're still in a kind of erosional feature. So in between these seamounts, it's also, I guess, moat-like. It's a sediment kind of depression in the sediment. So this may be more stripped down to like a base lava flow.
All
We'll
right.
see. Or we're just going to cross a line and it's going to become all ripples.
And if you've got a strong bottom current in this area, you can get what's called bathymetric forcing. So the seamounts, or the volcanoes themselves, are kind of forcing the currents around them. So you get just local changes in the currents because of the bathymetry.
Well, I think this is the end of it here.
Yeah, it looks like it's coming up. Nothing but excitement on all watches.
What kind of ripples are we going to see?
Exactly.
They're going to be
excited.
long and straight, sinusoidal, or lingoid.
Bob was excited about the ripples because apparently they changed orientation a few times as we were moving towards the...
Yeah, it was cool.
Yeah.
yeah. So someone will have to compare Hercules' direction to the ripple orientation and make a map.
And thank you, everybody that's waking up and joining us, or going to sleep and joining us, or in the middle of your day and joining us. Thanks for joining us. Either way, here on nautiluslive.org. We are exploring around Palmyra Atoll here in the Pacific Remote Islands Marine National Monument. And we are looking at some more rippled sediment. Towards the base of these volcanic cones.
So I'm looking up the morphology of ripples, and this looks like what we would call a catenary ripple pattern.
Catenary. What's the...
They generate crossed laminae that are curvy but have a unidirectional swoop.
I think that about describes it. I always like when a definition uses the word swoop.
Or they could be straight. Which would mean that they all dip in the same direction and lay in the same plane.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like they have some swooping.
I think so too.
Confirmed swooping.
A little ridge over here.
Yeah. Is that more coconut debris?
Looks like.
Our favorite? It's an interesting little lip. Oh, hey.
There's a big lip. I wonder what's forming these lips.
If you check out Argus view, you can see an above shot of Hercules kind of approaching this lip in the sediment. I know on our first dive when we were exploring Kingman Reef, we were sort of exploring the opposite side of where Okeanos had explored. Has Okeanos explored around these cones at all? Or in this area around Palmyra Atoll?
Not this area directly, and I don't believe they explored. Well, if they explored the cone, I think they did in Kingman, right? There's a Kingman cone
I believe
in
so, yeah.
1705. But I don't believe they recovered any basalts. But I would have to look that up. I can't remember off the top of my head. Definitely not in the track we're on now.
Yeah.
I'm going to go ahead and put us back on DVO.
Yeah, sure.
Got some nice deep sea fishes.
Zoom their video.
Alright, reset.
Sure, thanks.
Bye-bye. Looks less like the lines in the sediment, more like those little kind of wavy peaks that we were seeing before.
So these would be called lingoid.
Lingoid. It's a good word. And a shout out to another science communication fellow from this 2019 season, Brandon. Thanks for writing in. Thanks for watching along. I hope everything at NASA's good.
Probably not as cool. It's only NASA.
So if I if I remember correctly, Brandon actually posted the other day about how he was doing some Curiosity rover stuff. So sort of the similar format to what we're doing, but you know, not at the bottom of the ocean, but with Curiosity, which is pretty cool.
Okay, that's kind of cool.
And a slightly longer delay
A little bit.
in the controls, I'm guessing.
Most likely a tripod fish.
Hey Mom, I hope you're still watching. We got another tripod fish.
Video come in for Zoom.
Coming in. That's full zoom.
You want lasers off?
Uh,
Take off. Get
Okay.
drag behind there.
Oh, come wide, please.
come alive.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh.
Hey, buddy.
Big fish.
Looks like another one of those cusk eels that we were seeing
Sure.
yesterday as well.
Thank you.
Now, what sort of things could be living in these sandy sediments that we're not actually able to see? Things that, like, maybe burrow? Are there known things down here that we would possibly find if we sort of dug into the sediment?
There's almost definitely small nematodes, which are a type of worm pretty much everywhere on the seafloor and the sediment. In some places, other burrowing type animals
Video
include
zoom.
crabs. Let's see, certain fish can burrow. I'm not sure. We're not really seeing a lot of evidence for larger burrows in this particular
And come wide.
Come on wide.
dive. So I would guess mostly in this particular sediment we're looking at smaller organisms, small worms, maybe some foraminifera, something like that. Definitely bacteria everywhere.
Everywhere.
And maybe even some archaea as well.
Hey, Steve, when you get a chance, could we possibly see that topographic map on quad again?
Sure thing.
Sure.
Or bathymetric, I guess, is what we call it at the bottom of the ocean, right? Is that correct? Is topography and bathymetry the same thing but in different, like underwater and on land? Or am I conflating things?
Yeah, bathymetry is more relative to the depth.
Okay.
So when we look at, it's just the reference point.
Gotcha. So if you check out quad view, you can see towards the bottom of that that map, the cones that we have been talking about, and we're headed towards a cone that's a bit misshapen. Possibly part of it has slumped off, sort of fallen down into the seafloor a bit, but right now we're traversing across some more lovely ripply sand, where we're seeing quite a few different kinds of vertebrates, so different fish, some cusk eels, tripod fish, rat tail fish. And what is that name from yesterday? Bathymetric was the name that was kind of replaying in my head as I tried to go to sleep last night.
Got about a little under half an hour until we get a change of scenery here. Start going back up that misshapen cone.
Sounds good.
And we have seen some jellies down here. Not as many, or not super long shots of them. They sort of float by pretty quickly in the water. But I think we've tended to see a few pretty good shots in Argus. Some of those jellies floating by. Another lip.
come in for a zoom? Yes. Oops.
Maybe it's that we've said it 27 times now,
Yeah, full wide.
but I'm never going to forget how many legs shrimp have.
Thank you.
Power of repetition. And we hope you, the viewers at home, never forget either.
Like that? Okay. Like lateral over it?
Oh, look at that change in ripples.
Yeah, these big ridges are likely larger dunes that, we can't really see it clearly. But if you look at like high resolution bathymetry, it seems like there's, both very large dunes coming through here and then smaller ripple marks cross-cutting them.
And so what would the differences be in what's forming the smaller ripples versus these bigger dunes?
I'm not sure. So the smaller ones are, I would say, definitely just currents, deep sea currents in the area. The current through here is believed to have been stronger during ice ages. You get changes in both ocean circulation and chemistry. You get an increase in salinity. So it may have been, the bigger ones might have formed at a different time, but I'm just basing it on a few things I read before I fell asleep. So, certainly not an expert.
More than I know about them. So thank you. And again, these cones that we're approaching are volcanic cones, meaning they're formed by volcanic activity. And we've got some folks wondering about why this volcanic activity didn't reach the surface. And there's actually a lot of volcanic activity on the seafloor that doesn't necessarily reach the surface, or was once at the surface and then is no longer and is now covered by water.
Yeah, you need a pretty serious melting source. So something anomalous, like a hotspot that forms, the current Hawaiian Islands, to really build up a seamount that can go above the surface. Because that is a lot of volcanism.
A lot of lava.
Yeah.
And for our friend that wrote in about the jellies, there was just one that sort of looked like it passed by us a minute ago.
You might be referring to the siphonophore that went by.
Was that a siphonophore?
I believe so.
Oh my gosh. That's even more exciting for me. I didn't even realize. Scratch that. Not a jelly. Siphonophore. Colonial invertebrate that filtrifeeds in the water.
Video zoom.
Coming in. Doesn't want to play.
I swear they can hear the zoom.
Shy.
What is that little
Coming wide. Oh,
thing?
Thank you.
Oh, yeah, a little kind of a mound thing, maybe?
Oh, there was like a little, looked like almost like a spider kind of floating in the water. And then it shot all of its legs down and it looked like a jellyfish. It was very small.
I didn't see it, but do you think it was a sea spider?
I'm not sure. It didn't look as spindly as a sea spider. It seemed like it had a sort of thick body in the middle and then sort of very thin. I don't know if they were legs or if they were tentacles.
Gotcha. Interesting.
If I see it again, I will let you know.
Okay.
It was sort of up with the marine snow that we're seeing at the top of the screen, but no longer. And again, for our friends at home, that marine snow that I just mentioned, all the little bits and pieces falling through the water, that's what's driving the biological communities that we're hopefully going to come across when we see these cones. This marine snow is actually debris from the upper levels of the water column. So, from somebody eating something else that didn't get all the little bits. We got, slime from other animals, skin cells, poop, all that good stuff that falls through the water column and then is consumed by our friends at the bottom. And do we know how much of the sediment that we're seeing would be that marine snow versus actual geological sediment?
Video zoom.
I would say it's almost entirely marine snow.
Oh yeah.
There's some probably wind-blown clay in it, but the deposition rates are so different that it's probably 90, well over 90%.
Wow.
Just debris.
You're so far away from any major landmass. So closer
Yeah.
you get to the continents, more runoff from the continents you get. But out here it's
Wow.
all snow.
And
Kelly,
if
did you want to zoom still?
Delicious.
No, I gotta go.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'm sure it's very soft.
I wasn't sure which organism you were looking at there.
Yeah, that one that just swam away. I was wondering if he looked good, but it's okay. Just practicing zooming.
It looks like nice beach sand, but after a description of what it's composed of, yeah,
You don't want to build a castle out of dead
Just stick your
critters and
hands
poop.
right in there.
I don't know. Might make a good castle, but might also smell a little weird.
Again, if you check out that quad view, you can see view from Hercules' camera, view from Argus's camera, and a view of the map that that Chris is looking at. That shows us we're approaching that cone.
I feel like for these longer transits, we should play that. What's that song from the first Ice Age? When they're like, do you know what I'm talking about?
I'm
alive back
trying
then.
to remember,
the
but
On the Way song?
I do not remember the song itself, but I do
Really?
remember the montages.
Oh, yeah, that was my favorite part of the movie.
Don't remember.
Have you seen all of the Ice Ages? They have come out with quite a few.
I
The last
think
couple
after
years.
the third one, I had not seen them.
Ice Age Continental Drift. What's that thing down there?
Not that I don't applaud Ice Age for its scientific accuracy, but I think their rate of change on some of the things in their movies might have been a little quick.
Little bit, tiny bit. Is that a little jelly down there?
Looks like it, yep.
And do we have any idea of how deep this marine snow deposit could be? Or is it kind of hard to tell unless we did push cores?
We could probably tell from our sub-bottom. So we have a hull-mounted sensor that sends pings to the seafloor, and you can get a good idea of how deep the sediment layer is, because you will see the hard rock below it in the returns.
Cool.
And I've not looked at it for this area.
I want to say it was something like 500 meters thick in this region, but
What?
Pretty dang
Whoa.
thick.
yeah, I gotta find that.
What?
Did I hear that correctly? 500 meters?
500.
That is a lot of debris.
It's more than a quarter mile.
Wow.
Thank you, track, for helping me out with distances there, because otherwise I can't really convert that.
Whatever works. Now, Jamie, to your point earlier about the shrimps being red and them sort of being invisible in the water column. Whoa.
Whoa, what's that?
That might
that
be
a-
a lobate ctenophore.
Cool.
Not totally sure.
Gotta turn back around.
Do you have any ideas, Al?
No, I was going to say lobate ctenophore as well.
All right, well, let's go with that.
Thanks.
But what I was saying about the shrimp is that the shrimp that we're seeing when we get close up to them with our lights, we can see that they're red. But in the distance, when they're not directly in our lights, they look very dark and sort of kind of illustrates what you were saying about the color red being one of the first colors you lose as you get further and further from that light source.
I think sometimes that's said as red light attenuates the fastest through the water.
Science words.
That's a
Science
good one,
words.
though.
I think I've heard that
It's a
before.
physics word as well, I think, you know?
Physics is a science.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That one.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
I took that class.
Yeah. I didn't take many science classes, that's why I said it like that.
Now I really want to see like a cross section of this sediment and what could be hiding in the 500 meters of debris.
I know, I think I just learned this somewhere, that a lot of times
Video zoom?
what
Come on in.
lives in the sediment is limited to depth based on particle size.
Well, let's get that fish further up.
Because
Copy that.
a lot, not all, but a lot of organisms that need oxygen to live, the particles actually get so close together that the water and oxygen isn't able to penetrate deep enough
Yeah.
to provide it to them. So you get a layer of that, a layer of the anaerobic organisms that do not need oxygen
I'm
to
losing
live.
it. Just come on.
Come on.
Thank you.
And then you're deep enough that there's not a ton.
Cool, that makes sense.
So I looked up the sedimentation in the area. So in this Palmera Basin, it's going to vary between about 800 to 1.3 kilometers of sediment.
What?
So it's
Can
real
we
thick.
zoom on that?
Wow.
Come in, zoom.
The area we're in is going to be slightly less thick because it's kind of a moat, it's a depression area,
Mhm.
but overall it can get
Oops.
well over a
Way back
kilometer.
up for it.
Wow.
Shout out to Mitch Lyle. Oh, and Rob's on that paper. He's second
All
author.
right, I'm
That
gonna
makes
get
sense.
going.
Haven't seen any of our cat shark friends from earlier. Looks like we've got a bunch of people in the U.S. waking up and joining us for this dive, so thank you for logging on to nautiluslive.org. Again, we're on a very sediment-heavy area with a lot of rippling on the top. We're seeing vertebrates. We've seen a few, fun floating things going by, like what possibly could have been a lobate ctenophore and a siphonophore earlier. And we're approaching the base of another volcanic cone. So we're going to be going into a bit of a different terrain coming up. But for now, we're still moving along this sediment bottom that we have just been told is quite thick. Could be up to a kilometer thick of sediment, but probably a little less in this area since we are in a depression on the seafloor. But still a lot of that marine snow piling up.
Video zoom. Okay. Well, wait for me. Oh, you got it.
You know, I remember learning about this specific fish last year, and I cannot remember the name, but I remember the rounded head being indicative of what kind of rat tail this was.
How many rocks did the other watches get?
Video, you want a quick zoom here?
I think 4, let me double check.
I'm gonna go on over him. Come on, wide. Thank you.
Maybe everyone wants to hear what we collected. Does everyone want to hear what we collected so
Yes.
far?
Sure.
Tell us,
Yeah,
Jamie.
sure. They seem to be very sample happy.
Yeah, so we got a basalt rock.
Good choice.
We got a chrysogorgid coral. We got a yellow coral that might be paragorgid. We got a lava pillow, so that's 2 rocks.
All right.
We got a black coral. Got a small piece of a pillow lava rock, so that's 3. Possible bacteria mat was slurped. Cookie star. It's a type of sea star. Some bamboo coral. Niskin.
Nice.
In a dense bamboo coral community. We got that pelagic sea cucumber that's I think Steve said the only known fully pelagic sea cucumber, Pelagothuria. We got a yellow zoanthid with a crinoid and some other associates.
Cool.
Another lava pillow piece, so that would be 4. A cup coral,
I saw them slurping that one.
and that's all. So yeah, 4 rocks so far.
Good.
So we still have lots of rocks we could take.
Oh yeah. If we can just get off this beach.
ETA 5 minutes. I'll be checking
Yes.
our swing,
That's
and we
great
can
news.
start moving up the next feature here.
I'm excited for recovery to see all those samples, though. Sounds like some really cool stuff.
Oops. Video zoom.
Oh,
It's a tiny shrimp, and a
shrimp
bigger
and
shrimp.
tiny shrimp. Oh,
So is he using his walking legs or his swimming legs?
Looks like he's moonwalking.
Swimming.
he's sort of doing a fake walk.
Yeah, the swimming ones have sort of the more feathery looking texture so that
Oh,
it
cool.
can get more grip through the water. Like little fins.
It's like that Scooby-Doo run where he's
Come wide.
terrified and trying to run away, but not going anywhere.
I just heard the sound effect in my head, too.
Can you do the sound effect?
No. I won't subject you to that.
Okay. I can imagine it too, though.
Seems like you just tried to do it, too. It was a good one.
Let me mute myself before I try.
Practice.
Thank you for that. That was funny.
That's a good old classic one that they would have had to make, you know, out of tangible objects. Like
Yeah.
a saw and a xylophone or something. I don't know.
Like a bowl of Jello and a coconut.
Yeah.
We call that Foley. Foley sound.
Foley sound.
When you make sounds in a studio that are, or in the wild, I guess, but that are meant to sound like something else. You know, you use gloves to make bird wings, or you use a bucket of water to get the sound of dolphins swimming
Oh, yeah.
through the sea.
Was it Foley?
Yeah, we call it Foley.
I
Foley.
I really
What's
wanted to do that as a kid. Like I wanted, like
Do
that's
you know
what
what
I
the
wanted to
reference
grow up
is
to
or why
be.
it's called it?
I don't know why it's called Foley. Yeah,
it's a
but and the
namesake
people
or
the people that do it for a living are called Foley artists.
Oh.
There's a really good film about Foley artists.
I've been meaning to watch that.
What's it called?
I forget what it's called, but I saw the trailer.
If I remember to look that up, I'll tell everybody on the
Yeah,
next watch.
sounds interesting.
There was a Jack Foley who was a sound effect artist.
Ah.
Oh, nice.
I was going to say, it must have been a Mr. or Mrs. Foley started it all.
Steven, do you ever add Foley effects to your deep sea videos?
I haven't
Spice
done
it
it.
up.
I haven't done it to deep sea videos.
I just picture like a fish slamming a
Here's your
door or something.
chance.
Exactly.
Could have some on command, just
I found a new niche.
Got
for
it.
when the fish scamper off the out of frame and stuff.
All right, I'll try on the next one.
Get yourself a soundboard.
Yeah, that'd be cool. I have done it with bird wings though, and yeah, I did a film with great blue herons, and they were kind of feeding in shallow water, and I did some Foley with a bucket of water to kind of
Were you
create
like
sounds
sticking your
for the,
hand in it
yeah,
real
exactly,
quick?
Yeah, yeah.
All right, I'm gonna hold us on station for a minute here, check the swing before we start moving up.
Yeah, sounds good.
Bridge nav. Request we hold position. Thank you.
Looks like there was a movie in 2014 called The Secret World of Foley. Is that the one you're thinking of?
Yep, that's the one. It's not really a documentary. I think it's like a narrative film, but yeah, I don't know. I
Sort
haven't
of like
seen
the
it, so I won't say
creation.
anything else. But I think it's really kind of a unique film.
Cool. I want to check that out.
I just think of Monty Python and the coconuts.
Yes, that's exactly what I think of too. Clunk, 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 clunk.
I also heard that film though is like a bit of an exaggeration. Like they take what Foley artists do, but they also like dramatize it. So.
Yeah.
Tripod fish, I think.
Sorry, did you say Zoom?
Oh, I said tripod fish,
Oh.
but if you, yeah, we can make this work.
Coming in.
With sound effects, please.
I mean, I don't know what I would do for this.
For the fish standing
Yeah.
perfectly still.
I would do some whistling, but it's not allowed on the ship. So.
No.
Nice catch. Good catching yourself there.
Come on, please.
Come on.
Perfect.
So good.
Good stuff. Oh, hey, little fish. Almost there, everybody. Ready for a change of scenery. So again, to our viewers at home, we're on very sediment-heavy area here, but we're approaching the base of another volcanic cone. Again, this one is a little, from our maps, a little misshapen. So we'll be interested to see what that looks like as we get a closer look.
Video zoom.
Beautiful. Ooh, fancy. That one's got cool whisker things.
And come wide. Come, thank you.
Our viewers at home, if you've heard the phrase whistling up a storm, you may have a idea of why we don't want to whistle on our ship here. More of a tradition.
Well, some of us. I'm kind of put out by not being allowed to whistle.
I keep catching myself.
I know, I do.
I'm a
I'm
constant
terrible
whistler.
for it. Yeah, and then I know I'm not allowed, so I'm just as bad. I'm going to get caught because I'm going around like whistling without making any sound, but I'm still making a face anyway, so I'm still going to get in trouble.
Blowing air kisses.
We got to do folly sound effects to match your facial expressions.
Oh no.
Not
Oh,
making
no.
the noise just summons a nice drizzle.
Yeah.
We have been getting a few of those, so.
Please don't. We've got like 4 knots of wind. It's really nice out.
I'm looking at the weather now.
Alright, we seem to have brought Argus in a little tighter if you guys are ready to start heading up.
Yep.
Alrighty.
Let's go.
Next bearing, 115 towards the top.
I can't wait to do my laser
You
Foley
can do like something like a big move for now until we start to see something
Bridge
in the
nav.
sonar.
when we put the lasers on and off.
Request 30 meter step, bearing 115. Alrighty.
It's not so tiny. That's the big island. We're
Show
going
me
into
some
this.
cone.
But yeah, after getting hit by a pop-up storm on my other ship when we weren't supposed to have any weather, and we had caught someone whistling on the bridge. Yep. No.
On the bridge? Jeez.
Yeah, I know.
It's like asking for trouble.
I'm not 100% sure if location on the ship matters too much, but
He's
It
like standing
dramatizes
at
the
the helm,
story.
just like whistling away.
I feel like alone in your cabin, you know, it's like not as egregious as on the bridge.
If I had a ship, I would pilot it around everywhere, whistling away. Superstitious foolishness.
Just laughing in the face of Poseidon.
Just like
Yeah.
cursing King Neptune.
Allison, Josh Teterenko and I got kicked off the bridge of the little boat, the ITB, the little Oceanic Explorer vehicle that we work with. Yeah, we were both up there whistling away.
Was it for the whistling? Or?
Oh boy.
Yeah, that's right. No. Might have been our
Your downfall.
happy winning personalities.
Oops, did I pull your tether?
yeah, all I'm saying is that old cartoon of Mickey Mouse driving the ship whistling away. No,
Oh,
not
yeah.
good to go.
Is it still the same if you're on a steamboat, though?
I mean, I guess you don't have to worry too much about weather too much when you're close to shore, but we're in the middle of nowhere and everywhere, so we got a
We're-
little further to go if we want to come into shore.
A little bit.
Isn't there another little bit to that that silly superstition about on the old sail ships you'd have like a small person, like a little boy or something, that was allowed to whistle? Because they
What?
because you had to have some wind, or if I've heard this like version of this. You could have some
need a wee
child-
whistle.
some child labor thing going on, and you,
Yeah, that was before a lot of
the
different
kid
laws.
can whistle.
Like if it was,
I've not heard that, but I don't know. Maybe his lungs aren't as strong.
Yeah, that's the idea.
It's like you're in a sailboat, so it's
This-
like you don't want it to sit still.
This whole whistling thing is pretty dubious, but
We need a little bit.
so the size of the person whistling correlates to the
well, that
strength
version of it
the
that I've
wind.
heard is like, yeah, one person you can have like, and that's not the youngest person on the boat. I've heard that too, but I've had that corrected. It's
Okay.
a small boy.
So one of those
Specifically.
smallest lung capacity.
So I was looking
Yeah.
at the weather that we've got coming up.
Yeah.
It looks pretty good until we get close to port, and then we've got some winds and swell at us. So
That's because somebody starts whistling.
yep. So
See, I mean,
Could we
please-
zoom on that?
Yep,
Oh, yeah.
but yeah, go
Thanks,
ahead.
ROV.
Coming in.
Ooh.
Starting to get a little bit of read on sonar.
Sorry.
all right.
Do you know what it is?
I used to know.
I think I just saw that in the guide.
You come in a little bit before I float away. Yeah. No, in.
Oh,
I
sorry.
was hoping. I was like, maybe.
I gotta
maybe
turn.
we can.
I gotta
maybe-
turn you up a little bit. I can't hear you that well.
Maybe a
Cool.
type of mushroom coral?
That's what I was thinking.
Cool.
Yes. I wasn't totally
Ooh,
confident,
it's
so I
a
didn't want to say it out loud.
Real good size zoom. The growth on this piloting thing is exponential.
Yeah, yeah. It's a matter of hours mostly.